Hey, God bless y'all. Good to be on the program once again, our New Life podcast. Pastor Kerry, you good?
Yes, sir. I'm good. And yourself?
Great, man. We're about to do the last part of this leadership series. For those of you that are watching, you can see this cover. For those of you that are not watching, you can go to our webpage. It's right here. It's www.mnvlubbock.org, and there is a book that we put together on New Life Leadership Guide, something that we used for our leadership, but I think it can be beneficial in other churches and leadership as well. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the last chapter. But things are good, man.
Yes, sir.
We had a good class last night. I had a good class with our pastoral candidates. We have a class going for them, and we're going over. We had some first-time preachers preaching, things like that, and it went really good. Then Pastor came in last night, and he just shared, and he answered a lot of questions concerning pastoral theology and homiletics, preaching and stuff. So it was a lot of fun, man.
That's good, man.
Next is we got somebody doing a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple of preachers, and then we also have somebody facing a situation where they're going to have to take care of. So it's a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. Some of them are like,
good.
"Oh man, how do I do that?" So anyway, it's good. So you may get asked by somebody, "Hey, Pastor Kerry, what would you do for a wedding?" Or what? I told them they could ask any of the pastors if they wanted to for some advice, except for me, man. So
that's good, man.
Anyway,
that'd be good.
Yeah. So Pastor Kerry, I kind of just, this is a lot of good notes here, and we can bounce off of this, but we've got a lot of experience concerning working as assistant pastors, man, in different areas. We wear different hats, and we our main focus is to being of assistance and an assistant to pastor to help fulfill the vision here.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 4:1, it says, "Therefore, since through God's mercy we have this ministry." We have this ministry. Okay, always remember, it is through God's mercy, His grace, that He has given us this ministry. Okay, don't ever forget that, because sometimes you can think, "Oh, well, it's my talents, my bit." No. It's only God's grace and mercy that you're able to have the ministry He's put you in, whatever it is.
Right.
But then he says this. He says, "We do not lose heart."
That's good.
And that could mean different things. And I think for an assistant pastor, that means a lot of different things to us. It could mean don't give up, don't quit. It could mean don't lose your passion for what you started out. But it also means don't lose your focus, your honor, your integrity, all these things. All these things are on the table that the enemy is going to try to distract you with as an assistant pastor.
Absolutely.
He's going to try to get you to quit. He's going to try to get you to give up. He's going to try to get you to do things outside of honor and integrity. And he's going to get you to maybe get so busy or that you lose heart and you lose focus of what the main goal is. So it's very, very important that we take Paul's advice here and always remember, man, we can never lose heart.
That's right.
There's things we can do to not lose heart, and that's stay in fellowship, stay rested, and always have a relationship with God to keep our heart clean so that nothing can enter in. What are some of the things that you can think of, man, that you've seen that can enter an assistant's heart that can mess some things up?
For starters, pride.
Yeah.
Pride and arrogance.
Yeah.
Those are two things right off the back that I can think of. I think, like you said, well, I know when we allow pride to enter, Scripture is very, very clear. Pride comes before the fall, right?
Yeah.
And so when we allow pride to enter our heart, man, our focus shifts completely. It becomes more about us. We become, arrogant, conceited. I'm better than my leader. I'm smarter than my leader. I know more than my leader. I could be doing better than my leader. I can handle this better than my leader. It becomes like that. That's pride. And that sounds a lot like who in the Scriptures?
The enemy.
Lucifer, right? Prideful, thinking that he was equal with God and some.
right.
And we all know what happened with his story. He was cast out of heaven, and now he roams the earth, looking for those to devour like
Yep.
a roaring lion, right? And so, I believe one of the biggest things that pride is a big red flag. Obviously, you definitely want to get that in check. And like I said, if you start having those thoughts like, well, I'm better, I'm more, if I could be doing much better job than my leader, that's a huge red flag that pride is about to really take control of your life and cause some chaos. Because again, you'll see that arrogance, that cockiness, that selfishness attitude, like towards like, hey, if I'm not here, then this thing will crumble type of thing, and you've made it all about you, right? And so the reminder as an assistant pastor is that you're there to assist.
Exactly.
Right? You're there to assist. You're not there to be in control. You can lead without being in control,
There
right?
you go.
And so you're there to assist the senior pastor. You're there to assist his vision. You're there to, be the hands and feet of where God has placed you at. And so I think those are two of the biggest things, pride and selfishness and arrogance, man. Those are things that if you allow those things to really take root, it can cause chaos. And what's sad is, like, in leadership as an assistant, there are people who look to you, and if you begin to act like that, people will see it, and one of two things will either happen. One thing is, like, people will feed off of that, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I totally agree, you should be the one in charge, you should be the one leading, you should be the one doing all this, right? People will start egging that on. Or people be the exact opposite. Man, I had so much respect for that person, I had so much respect for them, and I thought they were really in it for the right reasons. Now I see that they're all about themselves. And
right.
those are the two ways that it can go. And unfortunately, the third way that could go also is that you can get so prideful, you're like, you know what, I'm done here, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And you step out and do your own thing, and people follow you. You cause a division again.
Yeah.
Exactly what Lucifer did, convinced a third of heaven's angels to follow him.
Yep.
Right? And we both know the horror stories that come with that.
Yeah.
It starts off great for the first year, and then what happens after the first year? It starts to tank.
Yeah.
Because you reap what you sow, right?
Exactly.
You planted those seeds of pride, rebelliousness, division.
Exactly.
And now
They're going to come back. They're going to come back.
And so I truly believe pride is one of the biggest things, man, that can cause you to lose focus to where it's all about you and not and losing sight of, hey, this is kingdom building, man.
Exactly.
We're in this together, and understanding that God has put a man of God in your life for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I believe that's important.
Yeah. We always forget that the Bible says it is God who gives us promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's whenever we start trying to help God get that promotion that we get in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
If God really wants you somewhere, he's there is nothing, absolutely nothing or no one that's going to stop that, man. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
God's going to make it happen. He does things in his place. But if you force things, man, you've got to continue working so hard to maintain that, to keep that, and eventually it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So it's always important to allow God to promote you in certain areas, and always thank God. I know a lot of times when I speak to other pastors and that are working under another pastor, and I begin to explain to them the pressures, and I begin to ask them, well, what are you over? What are you doing? And they'll tell me, and I'm saying, okay, well, do you understand and realize that if you were in this position, you have to also do this, you have to also do that, and then they start realizing things and say, you know what? I don't think I'm ready for that yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's something to consider.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I don't think I want that kind of pressure. Well, that's something to consider. Now, when God does it, He gives you the ability to withstand some stuff.
Yeah.
He gives you the gifts. He gives you the grace. He gives you the capabilities. But without that, man, you're doing things on your own.
Right.
That's where we get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a pastor preach on something that was so powerful, and he said, and I don't know how real this statistic is, and it's sad, but he says, most of the pastors that fail, that have some kind of failure in their life and have to step down or whatever happens in their life, are those pastors that have kind of reached their cap, and everything is so easy for them. There's no struggle. There's no anything. So what happens is they start to get into things that they shouldn't get into. And that's how the fall happens. And most pastors that are struggling to grow or to get to a certain place are the ones that don't have these failures, but because they constantly have to depend on God. And I think it's a good place to be as an assistant pastor, because you have to depend on God to keep you in check, to keep you in line, to help you in certain areas. But it's such a good character development place, because you really find out what's in your heart, bro.
Yeah.
Really find out what's in your heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's very important.
Yeah, I just always want to encourage you, like what Paul writes in this letter. He says, since through God's mercy we have this ministry, we do not lose heart. Just encourage you, don't lose heart. Have the perseverance. You can do all things through Christ who gives us the strength. No matter what battle it is you're facing, or what obstacle it is you're facing, or what trial or tribulation you may be facing, I want to encourage you, don't lose heart. I think a lot of times in ministry too, one of the reasons also why people lose heart is they look at the numbers, they look at the attendance, and they, be like, man, we're like struggling, like, people are leaving, like, the finances are down. It's just like, man, just remember whose this is. This isn't yours, this is God's. And he's called us to steward. And so, listen, if he was the one who said start the church, here for your senior pastor, it's his responsibility to make sure it keeps going, for us to steward it. And so don't lose heart regardless. Like Paul also says, be willing to preach in and out of season, whether it's favorable or not. So whether the sanctuary is full or it's not full, or the budget is great, or it's looking like, man, we need to, pull some things back, God is still on the throne and he's in control. You know what I'm saying? So don't lose heart, because let's not forget, who it is that we live for and serve, and in all honesty, in the kingdom, who we work for, and that's the Lord.
Exactly.
So
a good assistant pastor is marked by the same things that the pastor is. They've got to have those same qualities. They must possess a love for God, his word, his people. You got to fall in love with his word and his people too. He needs a strong, winsome. He needs to be strong and winsome. He needs to be a teacher yet teachable, a man of prayer and a man of action. Don't be one of those assistant pastors that's waiting to do all these things when it's your turn to be the pastor. Yeah. No, you need to be doing things now.
That makes
it's
sense.
so sad. It's so sad that I've experienced and I've seen some that they're just using the assistant pastor role as a stepping stone to get to be a senior pastor. Here's the problem with that, Pastor Kerry, is they're not doing any of the things that they should be doing as a pastor now. I've known some that are just kind of hanging around, and really their only concentration, their only thought, and their only focus is, when's my turn to be up on the platform. They're not going to the hospitals. They're not helping with outreaches. They're not praying for people. They're not loving on people. They're not serving. They're not doing all these other things that they're going to have to do on that level.
Right.
So it's very sad that sometimes I see some just waiting around, thinking that, well, I'm saving my best stuff for when it's my turn. No. It starts now. You need to start taking that action now.
Yeah, and the thing is with that too, like I love how you said, I'm saving my best stuff for later. Like that's the wrong way to think, because
exactly.
You should be giving your best stuff now so that God can continually pour into you and continue to do even better and better down the road. That would be like me saying I'm saving this message, for when I start my own church or whatever, or I do whatever God is calling me to do, right? That's silly.
That's crazy.
Right? Because if I share it now, that means when the time comes for me to do something else, God is going to give me something else down the road. Like God is not limited.
Exactly.
Like there's no reason why we should limit that, right?
Exactly. A good assistant pastor is unflinchingly loyal.
Yeah, that's good.
Man, I think we've lost that, man. It's just, I think we've lost it, but I do see a generation starting to come back up that believes in this. Loyalty is important, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you can't be loyal, then always remember this. Always remember this. As Pastor Kerry said earlier, what you sow is what you reap. And so always remember that. If you want other people that are going to be loyal to you, the question is, are you being loyal? Okay? So a good assistant pastor is unflinchingly loyal. A good assistant pastor to the senior pastor will find a
kind and listening
kind
ear.
listening ear. There'll be a co-laborer who gives him the benefit of the doubt, and an encourager who will willingly hear his struggles but never uses them against him. You got to be loyal to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, a good assistant pastor is faithfully follows and successfully leads. You've got to learn to be able to help lead when you have to lead, and then back up and help follow, and be the best leader of the followers to help others learn how to follow. I don't know if you get that.
Yeah, there's levels.
Yeah.
There's levels to it.
And so not only are you leading at times when you're called upon, but also you have to set the example of how to be a good follower to those under you as well, because those are going to be the ones that are going to support and help you anyway.
Absolutely.
You know, so you got to be able to do those two roles. A good assistant pastor operates behind the scenes and willingly shields the senior pastor.
That's good.
Man, we got to get that stuff down in our churches, man. A good assistant pastor doesn't require the limelight, okay? Humility marks him as he happily labors for the glory of God behind the scenes. He knows and he embraces the fact that much of his ministry will go unrecognized.
That's true.
But God. God knows all things, man. And hey, let him build the ministry. You know, if you build it, the Bible says those who labor in those who build a house without the Lord labor in vain. So hey, man, let's let God build it. He knows how to build it better than us.
Yep.
And then also a good assistant pastor, he operates behind the scenes. He's willingly shields his senior pastor from unnecessary conflict and difficulty.
Yep.
Man, that's a tough thing to do, because you know there are some assistant pastors that they just show up when there's the limelight, when all things are going good. No. A good assistant pastor is also there to help shield and to keep all unnecessary silliness from the senior pastor as well. And we've got to learn some of these things, Pastor.
Yeah, no, and I think one of the ways you do that is with discernment. You see things coming before they happen, right?
sir.
To protect and shield your senior pastor. And it's not that, you know, the senior pastor doesn't want to be involved in things. It doesn't mean that he doesn't want to know what's going on, right? But it's like sometimes, like, for example, here on Sunday morning, you know, pastor's getting ready to preach a message. He's locked in. And, you know, in all honesty, the last thing we want to do is throw him off.
Yeah.
And have someone coming up and just, you know, and to some people be like, well, that's not how a senior pastor speaks. Well, you've never been one.
Exactly.
I've never been one.
Exactly.
I know what it's like to be a youth pastor and have kids coming to me talking about my boyfriend won't text me back right before I'm about to preach a message. Like, come on, man. Like, seriously, like, as silly as that may sound, I can only imagine what it would be like as a senior pastor with the responsibility of the whole ministry, in a sense, coming up right before I'm about to minister. And you know, so you use your discernment, you know, to protect and shield the pastor. And that's why he has us anyway, right? To be able to address certain things. And he trusts us to address certain things. And, of course, we relate to him, what's going on. It's not like we just leave him in the dark. We communicate to him. But I believe that's one of the ways you use discernment. You know, what is really, you know, okay, this is something pastor needs to know now. Or, like, you know what, we can wait to talk. We can handle this, you know, and talk, and we'll fill him in later type of thing. So, yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. You know, you got to be able to operate behind the scenes, and then protect and shield your pastor as much as possible, the leader in front of you as much as possible. So.
Yeah. Here's two things, Pastor Kerry, before we get off and start winding this down. I don't think I put too much of it in the book here, but here's what I think is very, very important as well in a relationship with a pastor, working under a pastor, is communication. Communication. First of all, like you said, there's a lot of unnecessary stuff that we need to be talking about anyway. There's a lot of things that you just need to go to the Lord. Here's the best thing. Here's the best thing sometimes when you're frustrated about some things, and maybe there's some things that you felt should have gone this way or that way, or but they're not, and you know that your pastor's unflinchingly gonna change or whatever. The first thing you should do before going to him and saying, you know, always complain. Listen, he's already got a lot of people that are probably complaining, so he doesn't need his right hand complaining too. The very, very first thing you should do first is communicate with God about you. Say, God, you know, is this even something I need to be all messed up about and just riled up about, or is this just me? Is it my flesh? Is it my heart? If it is, Lord, help me to change my attitude, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Sometimes I get things in my head and I'm like, I have to talk to myself, Pastor Kerry. I'll say, hey, that's stupid, man. Quit thinking like. I talk to myself like that.
Yeah.
Quit thinking like that, man. That's stupid, man.
Yeah.
Grow up, bro. Quit
Yeah.
think. So, and I talk to the Lord and I say, Lord, I don't know why these thoughts are coming. I don't know why, but just take it away from me, Lord. I don't want to be that kind of person. Okay.
Taking
Number
that
one. Number
captive
two,
thoughts.
communicate to God. And if it's something that really is something that you know, hey, this is not just something silly or whatever in my heart. This is what you do. You say, God, be with the man of God or the woman of God in my life, and you deal with them, Lord. If it's an attitude or just this or that, whatever, say, Lord, you deal with them. You minister to them, you speak to them, you take care of them, Lord God. And God has a way of taking care of things better than you. And then the last thing is, if there's just some things that need to be talked about before you assume, before you make your opinion, or you already think, oh, he's gonna do this, or he's thinking that because of this, or he's acting on this because of this. Before you make any kind of assumptions, communicate with the man or the woman of God. Communicate. Find out why that move was made, or why. Maybe there were some things he didn't know. Maybe there were some things he didn't understand, and that's why he said that or did that. Or maybe there's some things you don't know that's going on, and that's why he did that. So you got to get clarification first and talk. One of the things that I do a lot of times when I have some assistant pastors call me and talk to me about their frustrations, I ask, well, did you talk to them? Did you talk to them? And most of the time they're like, no, because no. If it's that bad, and if you say that they're that terrible, speak and say, hey, what's going on, or whatever. But talk right, talk with respect, and talk with love, and start there.
Yeah.
And that will clear up a lot of things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because what happens is, if you don't, you bottle it up, right?
Yes, sir.
And eventually what's going to happen, you're going to explode and spill it out onto other people.
Exactly.
Right? And so, and that's when you can cause division, and all of a sudden people start spewing insults towards your leader.
Exactly.
And it's just like,
don't go there,
don't
man.
go down that route, and it's like you said, man, you've had people who talk to us over the years, and it's just like, I'm not talking to him. It's like, well, look, man, what you're telling me, you should be telling him.
Yeah.
Why are you telling me for?
Yeah.
I know you wanted someone to talk to, and I'm telling you right now, you need to talk to him.
Yeah.
Or her. And it's just like, if you're not going to, man, it's only going to go from bad to worse. You're just going to bottle it up, and, nothing's ever going to get solved, right? Nothing's ever going to come to a solution. There's not going to be any type of reconciliation. And so, again, that's where pride can really come in and cause a whole lot of chaos and things like that. So just encourage you, to get that in check and learn to have a communication with the Lord, and then ask him to help you and give you wisdom on how to approach your leader, your senior pastor.
Exactly. No matter what level of ministry you are or leadership capacity you have, I want you to know that you are important in the kingdom. You're valuable in the kingdom.
100%.
You're needed in the kingdom.
Yep.
And whatever it is that you do, it is important that you don't lose heart, man. Especially in the times that we're living in. You are making a difference. You are making a difference. You may not be ever told that or anything, but you are making a difference, and you are needed. And whatever capacity you are in leadership, man, I want to encourage you to keep going forward. Ask God for those creative thoughts. Ask God for wisdom. Ask God for strength, and always stay in the Word and in prayer so that you can continue to be effective. And I want to encourage you, man, be a kingdom builder.
Yes.
Okay, not your personal kingdom, but God's kingdom.
Yeah.
And you're going to watch how, as you're busy, just focused in on building God's kingdom, God will build your kingdom.
That's right.
That's what we have, Pastor Kerry. Man, we want to get some guests on the next few podcasts. I'll get with you. We'll get some different people, get some different lineups, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll get to hear from different people, different topics, and hopefully we can get some of our pastors from here as well on and hear from them. But, man, it's been a pleasure. We got through it after 2 years. No, after
Pretty
Man,
much.
We
I know
taught
we
this
did
in
start in the
January.
new year, yeah.
January, February, March, April, and,
Yeah.
May, and we're in June.
Yeah.
June. Yeah.
13th.
Also, this is 13th session. This is the 13th session. Wow. Also, Pastor Carey, we're doing this right now, and it's going to air Thursday at 7 o'clock. Thursday at 7 o'clock. This is Tuesday, and at any moment now, my daughter can have her baby. So I'm just kind of like, man, could be I'm watching this and she's having her baby. I'm hoping she has it now. Okay. I told her, I said, hey, look, let's go do some jumping jacks, or let's go do this, that, whatever. I'm anxious, man. I'm ready. And she didn't want to hurry up. But anyway.
Yep. By the way, I text IRS during service on Sunday.
How's he doing,
I was
man?
like, what's up, IRS? I mean, Aaron.
Hey, funny story. My wife said, hey, son, are you getting tired of your dad sharing that story and call? He said, yeah. He said, but now I'm in the same boat. I need my kid to come before the first of the year. So he understands what I'm talking
He
about.
understands now, yeah. So shout out to IRS, a.k.a. Aaron Lopez. Now, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Like Pastor Chris said, if you want to get your hands on this leadership guide, listen, I would encourage you to go over to mvlubbock.org, mvlubbock.org, and if you scroll down, you'll see you'll see like a slideshow of pictures. You will actually see that graphic right there, the New Life Leadership Guide. You click on it and it'll give you a link and you'll get the whole thing available to you, okay? So I want to encourage you to do that. Just go on over, download that, and it's absolutely free. We're not charging you a cent for it.
Yeah. Download
it. You can text it to all your leaders after you download it. You can email it to them. You can print off your own copies, whatever it is. Again, we did this for free. Pastor Chris put a lot of time into doing this for our ministry and wanted to give it out to everybody, okay? So, and I know for a fact, wasn't it someone in Miami who wanted this material too,
Yeah.
and the first book
Yeah.
you wrote? So, I mean, we do a lot of things here in the ministry because not only we want to see our people flourish in leadership, but we believe it's important to help benefit the entire kingdom. And so we encourage you to download it for yourselves as well. Pastor Chris said earlier, every Thursday, 7 p.m., this podcast will air. So we want to encourage you to check those out on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, which is MEV Lubbock, or on our Facebook page, which is Ministeros Nueva Vida. If you're not subscribed, have liked any of those pages, go ahead and do that. Or if you're an audio listener, you really like to listen to it on the audio platforms, anywhere that the podcast platform is available, from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that has a podcast platform, you can download it and subscribe to it and add these episodes for free, by the way. All you got to do is search New Life Podcast and you'll have all this available to you, okay? So thank you so much for tuning in as we went through the New Life Leadership Guide, and we look forward to next week for a new topic, a new direction on what it is we got going on, all right? So God bless y'all. We'll see y'all next week.